The traditional image of a programmer hunched over a glowing terminal typing cryptic commands is officially a relic of the past. We have entered the era of vibe coding where the primary language of software development is no longer Python or Java but human intent. Vibe coding is a philosophical and technical shift that allows anyone with a clear vision to manifest complex digital systems through natural language. In this exploration we break down why the world of technology is moving away from syntax and toward the pure power of the vibe. This is not just about using an AI assistant to finish a line of code but about building entire worlds from a single evocative prompt. We are witnessing the birth of the non-technical architect who can command silicon as easily as they command a conversation. To understand vibe coding we must first look at the layers of abstraction that have led us to this moment of creative singularity. Historically, coding was a barrier of entry that required years of study to master the grammar of machines. Today that barrier has dissolved into a fluid interface where the machine translates your aesthetic and functional desires into reality. This is the roadmap to a future where everyone is a developer because every human has a unique vibe. Chapter 1: The Death of Syntax and the Birth of Intent. For decades the bottleneck of innovation was the human ability to translate a brilliant idea into a format a computer could understand. Vibe coding effectively removes this translation layer by allowing the developer to speak directly to the underlying logic of the system. When you vibe code you are not worried about semicolons or memory management but about the user experience and the emotional flow of the app. The underlying large language models have become so sophisticated that they can infer the missing pieces of a half-formed thought. You describe a feeling like a minimalist dashboard that feels like a rainy afternoon in Tokyo and the AI generates the CSS and logic. This represents the ultimate form of abstraction where the machine handles the drudgery while the human provides the soul. Syntax was a cage that limited the speed of thought but vibe coding is a bridge that accelerates creation to the speed of light. The programmer of the future acts more like a film director than a factory worker overseeing the production of digital assets. We are moving from the age of instruction to the age of manifestation where the vibe is the only documentation you need. This shift is democratizing the tech industry by allowing the most creative minds to bypass the technical gatekeepers. Chapter 2: The Architecture of the Generative Orchestration. Vibe coding relies on a new stack of tools that prioritize real-time feedback and visual manipulation over static text files. Environment platforms like Cursor and Replit have integrated AI so deeply that the code exists as a fluid state rather than a fixed asset. The developer uses a process called iterative vibes where they constantly tweak the prompt to refine the output of the machine. The machine maintains a global understanding of the project structure, allowing the developer to change the entire vibe with a single sentence. Imagine telling your workspace to make the entire login flow more playful and watching 1,000 lines of code rewrite themselves instantly. This orchestration requires a high level of taste and curation rather than a high level of mathematical proficiency. The generative engine acts as a tireless collaborator that offers multiple variations of a feature based on the developer's mood. We are seeing the rise of the vibe check where the developer tests the output to see if it aligns with their internal vision. The architecture is no longer built brick by brick but has grown organically through a series of conversational exchanges. In this model the human is the editor-in-chief of a vast synthetic workforce that operates at the nanosecond scale. Chapter 3: The Rise of the Creative Generalist. The era of vibe coding favors the generalist who understands design psychology and business logic over the narrow specialist. When technical skill is commoditized, the only thing that remains valuable is the uniqueness of your perspective and your taste. The creative generalist can build a prototype in an afternoon that would have previously taken a team of 10 engineers 6 months. This hyper-productivity is fueled by the ability to keep the entire vibe of a project in your head while the AI manages the details. We are seeing a renaissance of solo founders who are building massive digital empires from their bedrooms. The generalist uses vibe coding to bridge the gap between marketing, engineering, and design without losing the original vision. Because the AI can handle the cross-platform complexities, the developer can focus on the specific magic that makes an app stand out. Success in vibe coding is measured by the clarity of your intent and the boldness of your creative choices. The machine acts as a force multiplier for your imagination, turning a single spark of an idea into a blazing digital reality. This is the revenge of the poets and the artists who can now wield the power of the engineer without learning their trade. Chapter 4: The Psychological Shift in Development. Coding was once a high-stress activity defined by frustrating bugs and endless hours of troubleshooting. Vibe coding transforms this experience into a state of flow where the feedback loop is instantaneous and rewarding. The psychological burden changes from solving puzzles to making aesthetic judgments and managing the scope of the project. There is a sense of wonder when you see a complex feature emerge from a simple description of its purpose. However, this also creates a new kind of anxiety where the developer must constantly curate the infinite possibilities provided by the AI. The vibe becomes a mental anchor that prevents the project from drifting into a generic or incoherent mess. We are learning to trust our intuition more than our logic as the machine handles the rational parts of the build. The developer becomes a gardener of code, pruning the hallucinations and encouraging the growth of the best ideas. This collaborative relationship with the AI leads to a more fulfilling and less burnout-prone career path. The joy of creation is restored when the technical obstacles are replaced by a conversational partner. Chapter 5: The Economic Disruption of the Software Industry. The financial model of software development is being turned upside down by the efficiency of vibe coding. The cost of building a custom application is plummeting, leading to a surge in specialized and hyper-local digital tools. Large enterprises are struggling to adapt to a world where a teenager with a good vibe can out-innovate their entire R&D department. The value of a senior developer is no longer their ability to write code but their ability to guide the AI toward a stable and scalable architecture. We are moving toward a result-based economy where the speed of deployment is the ultimate competitive advantage. Vibe coding allows for the creation of disposable software that is built for a single event and then discarded. The barrier to entry for the tech market has effectively disappeared, creating a hyper-competitive and chaotic landscape. Investors are shifting their focus from technical moats to the strength of the brand and the quality of the user community. The economy of software is shifting from a scarcity of developers to an abundance of creators. In this new world, the only limit to your wealth is the strength and clarity of your creative vibe. Chapter 6: The Existential Risks and the Ghost in the Machine. As we move away from the source code, we risk losing the fundamental understanding of how our systems actually work. A world built on vibe coding is a world where the infrastructure is a black box that no human can fully explain. If the AI introduces a subtle bias or a security flaw based on a misinterpreted vibe, who is responsible for the fallout? We face the threat of a digital monoculture where every app begins to feel the same because they are all generated by the same models. The ghost in the machine is the silent influence of the training data on every creative choice we think we are making. We must maintain a level of technical literacy to ensure that our digital twins do not become our digital masters. There is a danger that we will stop learning the basics and become entirely dependent on the generative engines. The loss of human craftsmanship could lead to a world of digital clutter that lacks the intentionality of handwritten code. We must balance the speed of the vibe with the rigor of engineering to build a sustainable future. The challenge of the next decade is to remain the pilot of the machine rather than just a passenger in the generative flow. Chapter 7: The Future of Human-Machine Synergy. The long-term vision of vibe coding is a seamless integration of human thought and digital execution. We are heading toward a future where our devices can sense our intent and build the tools we need in real time. Imagine a computer that constructs a custom interface for you based on your current emotional state and the task at hand. The line between the software and the hardware will blur as the vibe becomes the primary operating system of our lives. Vibe coding will extend beyond the screen into the physical world through 3D printing and robotic orchestration. We are teaching the machines to understand the human soul so they can better serve our biological needs. The synergy between our creativity and the machine's efficiency will unlock solutions to the world's most complex problems. The era of the vibe is just beginning, and its potential to reshape reality is limited only by our collective imagination. We are all vibe coders now, navigating a sea of infinite data with the compass of our own unique taste. The future is not written in code, it is manifested in the vibes of those bold enough to dream it. Conclusion: the manifested reality. In conclusion, vibe coding is the final step in the democratization of the digital world. We have moved from the era of manual labor to the era of cognitive automation, and finally to the era of pure creative intent. The machines are ready to build whatever we can imagine, provided we have a clear enough vibe to lead the way. As we step into this future, we must remember that the most important part of the code is the human heart behind the prompt. The keyboard is becoming a paintbrush and the terminal is becoming a canvas for the soul. Your vibe is your superpower, and it is time to start coding the world you want to see. The silicon is waiting for your signal, so go ahead and set the vibe.